Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Licorice Pizza. Now, this movie is written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who is very well known for his work in Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, and Inherent Vice. And I believe there's more, but Inherent Vice happens to be the one movie I actually seen from the director. And I gotta say, I felt so deceived by the trailer because the movie wasn't what I expected it to be. Call me weird, call me someone with no taste, but I believe that it takes a particular palate in order to enjoy Anderson's movies. And also, he directed some of the Haim sisters' music videos, which is kind of cool because Alana Haim and the sisters are actually in this movie, front and center. They're so great. They're so talented. Now, the story follows Alana Kane, who's played by Alana Haim, and Gary Valentine, who is played by Cooper Hoffman, who's the late Seymour Hoffman's son. You see these two grow up, run around, and go through the treacherous navigation of first love in the San Fernando Valley of 1973. Now, during the entire runtime of this movie, I was waiting for something to really click of why they called this movie Licorice Pizza, because I neither saw licorice nor pizza in this entire movie. Looking back at some of the interviews with the writer-director, he was thinking that they were going to call it Soggy Bottom at first when they were writing out the script, because that's all they got. Like, it was literally a reference to the waterbed company that Gary and Alana end up pairing up for, and it just felt kind of weird. I mean, can you imagine calling this movie Soggy Bottom? Soggy Bottom being nominated for Oscars? Come on. 1. The title was named after a vinyl record store that was actually popular in South California. 2. Licorice actually refers to the color black into the color of a vinyl record, and the record itself being the shape of a pizza. And 3, my opinion was that licorice was tough and sweet like Alana, as well as pizza being cheesy and large just like Gary. Oh, that's really weird. 2 really good snacks that either go well together or they don't. That's really reaching, but that's kind of what I took away from the title. And just like any movie that's going to the Oscars this year, this is more of a performance film than it is about its story. And you really see that displayed on screen because Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman were just fantastic. And I had no idea that this was their first time acting. This is their featured debut, and a lot of the emotions that they display on screen, a lot of their chemistry and dynamic, and just what they were going through emotionally, struggling with whether they loved one another at this time or when one actually cared about the other one at this time. But it felt so real. It felt so visceral and just very genuine. Their interplay was so phenomenal. I love the way their dialogue was written, how they were written, and it's the way that one character would care about the other person while the other person would just self-sabotage on themselves, or they would get into another relationship, but they care about each other, and at the same time they're struggling to admit of how much they love each other, and I love movies like that. It also felt weird, like later on in the movie when they actually start to drift apart in their friendship, where a lot of these actors like show up and it's just so random, but at the same time I couldn't get enough of it because we have like Sean Penn, Tom Waits, even Bradley Cooper and Benny Safdie. Like, they just show up, and it's just really weird to the way they kind of implicate themselves in the story because it felt like it could have been trimmed out, like they were almost unnecessary, except for Bradley Cooper. Like, his little segment was, I wanted more of that because he was just nuts, and he was like a little bit crazy and just a little bit repetitive that I want more of him. Now, I think my one big problem about the movie was that the story was feeling a little bit confused. Like, it was still attempting to find its footing of where we were taking our main characters, because our characters are not going to fall in love right away. We can know that for sure. So we have to do something about these characters, give them goals. And so we were taking them out of a school setting, which I very much appreciated because it wasn't another school romance. Instead, you get to see them hustle for jobs, or even to try and start a business, or even deal with the economic crisis that hit California back in the 70s. Now, although it is a rarity to put young lovers in situations like this, as well as it being very interesting, it just felt a little too dragged out. Like, the pacing just didn't mesh well. And with the tiniest reference of vinyl records, I was completely blown away by the soundtrack. I love some of the song choices that they chose, including songs from like Nina Simone, Sonny and Cher, The Doors, Paul McCartney, David Bowie, and even more. A lot of the songs went really well, just blended with a lot of the situations that a lot of our characters are in, or situations where they want to say something, but they are not saying it out loud. But it really was more of a dazed and confused kind of vibe. Going back to the Haim sisters, they are very talented. I wish they would do more movies. I want to see them in more things because they're very well known for their music, but they are surprisingly really funny. Like, they're not just beautiful faces and wonderful voices, but they're hilarious. And especially their parents. Their parents were in this movie, and I had no idea, and it really just added the whole situation, especially when they bring up, them being Jewish. Now, I read some articles after watching this movie, and I had no idea that there was some real controversy about the age difference between the characters, because the Alana Kane character, her character is 25, and Gary Valentine, he's like 15. And yeah, it was kind of weird for the narrative of these characters and just the way they kind of went about with things, because it's not like they get physical. Like, they eventually fall in love, yeah, but they don't get physical. I mean, we've seen worse with many, many movies where, like, the men are older, much older than the female counterparts in the love stories. Can you imagine if they were dating in real life? I mean, it's even worse by 2 years. Cooper Hoffman is like 18. Alana Haim is 30. But, I don't know, that didn't necessarily bother me so much. I mean, take a look at John David Washington and Zendaya in Malcolm and Marie. They had great chemistry, and I know a lot of people really just rolled their eyes on the whole age difference, but it's a story. It worked. They didn't boink each other on screen. Overall, the script, the direction of the story may alienate me as a viewer, but I love the performances in this movie, especially the main characters. Just wonderful. They deserve all the Oscar recognition they have coming to them. I was very fortunate to finally check this movie out at our local movie theater because it came out like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no, we did not get it on December 25th. Like, we got it now because of all this Oscar buzz. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews. I'm Jaren Agbanawag, and I will see you guys at the movies. Take care.
Take a look at the long man reading up the wrong